Hello friends, it has been a long time since I've made a video and posted it. I did make an update video and I never posted it a couple months back. And I did some jewelry bags, but I didn't post them either. I've had lots going on. I don't know how much I want to go into it. Let's just say I've been blogging for 13 years and I've had a couple of stalkers over that time, and I just needed to take a break and not let everybody know what I'm doing and where I'm at and what's going on in my life. So it's been a long time since I've had that autonomy from not having my blog every day. That's over 3,000 posts every day for 13 years. So I decided to just take some time off and regroup. Some of my kids have had some issues with me blogging and all their information because there's family members that are not in their life and they didn't want that person to know what was going on. And so it's been a long time since I've taken a break. I've never actually taken a break since I started the blog. But just with the stalking situations and my grandkids and other things, I decided to take some time off. And every time I've wanted to put a video up, I just couldn't do it. There's too many things going on and I didn't even know how to update you all on everything. But funny story, I'm going to start with a funny story. So I have had a lot of health issues and a lot of doctor's visits over the last year, but mostly over the last 6 months. So that was part of my reason for taking a break as well. So I had a tooth that is now missing. And when we moved from the East Coast, I had everybody get their teeth checked before we moved. And we got to the West Coast, and within 6 months, everyone had cavities, and my former spouse and I both had crowns put on. And I thought, something's wrong with the water here. So that crown, they put one in, and when I bit down, it shattered in my mouth. So I think it cracked the root of that tooth. So when they tried to, I had a bunch of crowns put on it, and it just kept growing, and they kept drilling it down through the crown to the tooth because it just kept pushing out. And then I went and had a root canal, and it was the most painful thing ever. They couldn't get the tooth root numb. So the crown was put on, the root canal came later. They tried to, because of the pain I was having, they tried to do a root canal and it was calcified. They could not get to the root and numb it. So they actually did the root canal with no anesthetic because they couldn't get the anesthetic with all these shots to the root. And it was about an hour from my home and I was in so much pain. So then I had another couple of crowns put on it. It was still in pain even though I had the root canal. So I finally went and had one of those 3D scans done, and they said that there was infection and they thought it might have been into my sinuses. So they sent me to a neurosurgeon in a larger city, but he didn't knock me out, which I was sad because I was like, oh, please just knock me out. Anyway, he gave me, I don't know, 10 shots or something ridiculous of 3 different medications to try and get that area numb. When he actually went to put the numbing agent in, it exploded pus everywhere. And he goes, that smell is not me, that is your tooth rotted. And because of the crown, they couldn't see, in the root canal, they couldn't really see, with a regular x-ray. So they pulled it out, and I'm driving home and my mouth is completely numb because all the shots. And I look up on this dead area. There's like no cell service, and it's the dead zone. Everybody knows it is the dead zone. And I look up and I see a police officer, and I look down and I'm like 30 over the speed limit. I don't usually drive that fast, but I was in pain. I wanted to get home and just go to bed. And I thought, oh, he's going to pull me over. I slowed down, and he did pull me over. And he said, driver's license and registration. And I handed him my credit card. And he said, what would you like me to do with this? And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So then I tried to get my driver's license out of my wallet, and it's in one of those little teeny pockets with the plastic. I could not get it out. And he said, let me try. Like something's wrong with me. And I just look, I'm in a lot of pain. They didn't knocked me out. You can see clearly I'm numb. I am like drooling. My mouth is dead. And he couldn't get it out either. So he said, let me just take a picture of it. And so he takes a picture and he goes to his car and he comes back and he taps me on the shoulder. He goes, ma'am, just slow down. He goes, I take it you don't get pulled over very often. I said, no, never. So then he's just, slow down. And I look at him and I'm like, where's my license? And then I remembered he took a picture and he looked at me like, should she be driving? And I said, goodbye. And I took off. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy's letting me drive. It was so embarrassing. So anyway, that explains my life. That's kind of how it's been going. Really dingy, just a lot of different medications I've tried, lots of different things. So I'm just going to share what's been going on. I have that other update video. I can't even remember what's on it. So I'm going to post this one so you just kind of have an idea what's going on and what I've been trying recently. And then I'll post the other one in a day or two and you can watch that one and find out what happened between that stopped vlogging in that time and then the last few months, because I don't remember what happened 3 days ago most of the time. So I obviously had a tooth pulled, and a lot of people, viewers, would say, I think you have an affected root canal or something, and they thought that was the cause of all my problems. Well, no, it's not. I've had it out for months now and it's still I'm still dingy, and it's not the main problem because I'm still having other problems. I have had a lot of visits, which is really nice, for my kids, grandkids, family members. So I have a daughter whose husband is in medical school. So they're out of state and they're going to be traveling the next 2 years. From each time they have a break, they're going to be traveling to a new rotation. So we're not going to be all together. And that was part of the reason why I also stopped, because it was the last holiday we were going to have together for several years, at least 2 years, because of their situation. I have kids living in 3 different states, and so this Thanksgiving, I didn't have them all for Christmas, so I was alone on Christmas, but I did have them all for Thanksgiving, and it was wonderful to have everybody home and just get to spend that time with them without having to worry about blogging. And I knew that, you know, we weren't only going to have, literally, I had 2 days over Thanksgiving with everybody here. So I was very grateful for that. But before that, I had kids coming a week before for a couple of days, and then over Thanksgiving, and then some in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then I had a couple come after Christmas for a day or two for New Year's. And what they were doing is cleaning out their rooms and some of the stuff in the rooms and helping me clean out stuff from the rooms. There was one room that I had, I've shared this before, I think. My mother passed away. All of her estate stuff got delivered to my house, and then my daughter had her rollover accident, which was very severe, and people were coming to visit and everything. And so all of this stuff that I didn't want to put away until it was done. Like I didn't want to put anything in the house until, if I bring something into the house, I'll refinish it right then and then put it in. I don't want to bring anything that's not refinished or done into the house so that I don't have a lot of junky stuff. But because of that, there was a couple of rooms that just got shoved with my mother's estate stuff in them, and it had not been gone through. And because I knew that I was not going to have my kids all together for another 2 years, I wanted to go through that estate stuff and get rid of anything they didn't want. At the end of cleaning out my mother's house, I just ended up throwing a whole bunch of stuff into boxes. I just didn't have time to go through it. And I had gone up just recently to my sister's home where all the other stuff had gotten taken. So there's just a few totes left that we haven't gotten through, but there was another, I don't know, 10, 12 totes that we went through a couple months back. So I had all of that stuff that if my kids wanted any of it, and I had all the stuff from years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago, shoved into a room. So that room has not been functional as a bedroom since my daughter's accident and my mother's passing away. And so they came down and helped me pull everything out of that room, and then I went through it in between when they were here, not here, so that bedroom would be functional over Thanksgiving, because one of my daughters was bringing a boyfriend, and I wanted him to have his own private space. So it was very crazy, and I know this video is long, and if you don't want to watch it, that's fine, but I'm just going to go through what's been going on and why I haven't been blogging. So during that holiday, we only had 2 days together. We went through, I don't know how many totes of my mother's stuff, and my girls were up really, really late one night trying on clothes from a closet. My mother had a costume rental business for most of my life, and we had gotten sold all the costumes as a collection, but somehow she had gotten some that she had taken up to her small apartment somehow, and some of it was family heirlooms and some of it was just garbage. And so we had to go through that. And my kids, I thought, well, let them take whatever they want. They didn't really get much from my mother. And so I wanted them to be able to tell me, yes, I want that. No, like I wanted them to have an opportunity. So we stayed up late going through all that. And then from that time, I was able to sell some of it locally. And I have a few things I want to post online that are more valuable things that, but so that room was cleared out, but then they came and helped me clean out another room, similar situation. When everything goes crazy, I'd say throw it in the sewing room. And it's a bedroom, but when we bought the house, it had shelves all over the walls, and so it wasn't really conducive to a bedroom. Like literally, there's windows and shelves and a closet, and so there wasn't really a place for a bed because they used it as a craft room. So a couple of them came down and started unloading that room as well. So what I've been doing is going through a lot of stuff. And then I ask my kids if anybody wants any. If they don't, then I sell it. So I've been selling a lot of yarn. I sold 6 trash bags of yarn. I mean, when I say trash bags, I'm talking like, they're not like a 30-gallon or something, but a large kitchen garbage sack full of yarn for $100 just to get it out of the house. So that room had, because we all used to crochet, and nobody does it anymore. So, and fabric, and oh gosh, what else have I sold out of that room? Just, there was games in there like I had bought because I wanted to make a game room, and so that was also what I was doing. I have a lot of antique games and go through, and I found I had 2 or 3 of the same game, so I've been selling a lot of antique games. And it's been nice not having to worry about blogging every night, because when I blog, I didn't have the time to go through these and do these other things that I've been able to get to do, because I didn't have that 2 hours of replying to comments and updating everything and writing my blog and uploading videos. So I've kind of been a little selfish, excuse me, my nose is dripping a little bit, kind of been a little bit selfish in the sense that I've taken time to try and get things taken care of that needed to be taken care of when I don't have the energy. So I'll tell you what's been going on medically now that I've told you what's been going on in the house and with my kids. So I did have a couple of kids I shared that didn't like the blog because it gave information to the wrong people in our past, in our life. And so I stopped blogging, but I laughed because over the holidays they were like, why aren't you blogging? Like they don't even read my blog. And I was like, see how much you know about me? It's been months. So I thought it was kind of funny that they wanted me to stop blogging, but then they didn't even notice that I had stopped blogging. So that was funny. Specialists. I went and saw, I had some kidney tests done. My brother was diagnosed with some cystic kidney disease or something that also can affect the liver. Because I have fatty liver, I've still got yellow eyes, they're still really yellow. And the liver people just said, well, there's nothing we can do, just don't eat fats. And I literally can't eat any fats. Even healthy fats make them worse. Even like avocados or olive oil, they get really green and yellow. So I thought maybe I was having some problems with this. He said it's genetic. So I have had a problem with the parasites burrowing in and out of the bladder, and they create little air bubbles and then just a little bit of seepage sometimes. And so and then I'll go to the bathroom, and then 10 minutes later I have to go again. So I was thinking maybe I wasn't it wasn't all going out. And I know that the parasite causes bladder problems. And you can watch in some of the other videos how I know that. I had a family member have some surgery, and they checked out her bladder, and they said they saw all these little red dots in the bladder. and it made it less elasticity, had less elasticity than bladder normally would have, but they don't know what causes those little red dots. And I'm sure it's the parasite burrowing in and out of the bladder. So I know that I have that, and I can feel it when it's happening, because it kind of like unseals that sealed, the bladder, and then the parasite burrows in and it kind of lets some escape, and then I'll get that air bubble. So I know that that's going on. So I had a ultrasound, and they said there wasn't enough residual urine in the bladder to cause any problems, and they did not see any cysts on the kidneys, which is good. So I and with that, my brother said they just told him to drink a sufficient amount, and so I always drink a lot anyway. So anyway, that's been going on. So I think I talked about on the other one, sorry, I'm reading these notes and I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. This is how it goes. My mind is a little sometimes. Okay, so I think on the other one I talk about seeing an endocrinologist, and they kept saying that possibly that my endocrine problem, my thyroid problem, just needed thyroid because it was low enough that they're worried about it, but when they give me medication, I have hyper symptoms, and so they said maybe it was because I was taking generics, because that's what the insurance would give me. So I tried Synthroid, and I did it for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden my whole body went chaos. And from that moment on, I have been having a lot of problems. So I started to grow a beard, and there's sores all over. You can see it's just one big sore all the time, right through this little area. And then my blood sugars have been really weird, and they said I'm pre-diabetic. And I know that part of all of the situations are all combined, because they all started, like a lot of these symptoms started when I took the Synthroid. It's like my body went into a crisis of some sort, and it hasn't ever gone back to normal. So I've been dealing with those blood sugar issues, and my arms have been going numb more, and my legs then started going numb. My heels are to the point where I can't feel them, and then I kind of weeble wobble because I can't feel the pressure on my heels. And I also have really bad pain right where the bone hits like the ground of my heel, because I can't feel the tissue. And so, excuse me, if I step on like a teeny little pebble or something, it's like excruciating sharp pain that normally the pad of the foot would take, if that makes sense. And so I can't, it's really, really painful. So over the holidays when my kids were here, like I was almost crying every night with my heels being in so much pain, and then the numbness. So I went to my doctor and talked to him about my arm numbness, and how if I sit with my arms out like this on a chair, or I'm on the phone, or I'm holding something this way, my arms will go numb. If I sleep at night, I'm flip-flopping every 5 minutes because my arms will go numb. And I had years ago, I had a nerve conduction study on my arms, and they said they were fine. And I said, well, I think it's probably because like they're down by my side when they tested them, and they weren't like up. If I hold them up, then there's a problem. So he sent me in for nerve study, connective study on my arms and on my feet. And so I went, I couldn't get them done the same day. So I went in and had the nerve study on my arms, and they said they're fine, which I don't understand how they're fine, because they're not fine. However, they did send me for an MRI of my neck, and I had one a couple of years back, and it showed that there is more bulging and there is more deterioration in a certain area, and all I can think of is that that's what's causing the problems there. And then I went in, while I was there was a guy sitting behind the desk, and he had a needle sticking out of his his hand, and he was kind of twisting it, and he's like, oh, there it is. And I said, do you guys do that here? And they're like, oh yeah, we do dry needling here now. I had not heard of dry needling. I haven't worked as a nurse for many years, and even then I wouldn't have probably heard of it because they don't do it like in the hospital or anything, and that's where I worked. And so I guess that physical therapists can now take courses in, it's not called acupuncture, it's called dry needling. It's kind of the same thing, but not kind of the same thing. So acupuncture, they go in with the needle and they open blockages, and it's opening up your energy to certain organs and things like that. With dry needling, they go into the muscle, and then they apply electrodes directly to the needles, and then it's like if you've ever had those TENS units where they put the pads up and then it will like vibrate electricity through that area and it will contract the muscle. It's like doing that, but in the muscle. And so I said, hey, is that covered by insurances? And I said, yeah, it is. And so I went in several times and had that done, and it felt great. And the guy is really sweet, and I really enjoyed working with him. He gave me some stretching exercises to try and help my numbness in my arms and my neck. I've always done that. Being in a body cast as a child, I've always kind of put my neck forward because of the cast on the back. And so he's been giving me some exercises, which is great. So been doing physical therapy, had the 2 different tests done there, had the MRI of the neck, and still been going to the chiropractor, which, you know, I get relief from, so I just keep going and doing that. It's getting expensive though, so my finances, Christmas, house taxes, insurance, they all come at the same time, and all these different medical things. I've had to pick and choose what I've been doing, and gas has gone up, and food's gone up, and everything's gone up. So finances have been really tight. Plus, not posting on YouTube, my income from YouTube, not that it was very much anyway, has gone in half of what it was, and it was not very much anyway. So that little bit of income is gone because I haven't been posting. So it's been kind of crazy that way. I went to see, when they did the foot nerve study, they found it was extremely painful in certain areas, and I'm not sure why. One leg, like the leg that the numbness is worse in, didn't hurt as much in certain areas and hurt more in other areas, and then the leg that has less nerve pain, I about kicked him across the room. He hit behind my knee with those needles, and it was so painful. So anyway, that found that I do have nerve damage in my heels and feet, and they don't know why. So I went to see a podiatrist, and he sent me for back x-rays, and I'm getting pre-approved for a MRI of my lower back because he thinks that the restless leg and the numbness is coming from my lower back. However, I took pictures of the report so I could show you, but anyway, basically it says that they think there's something impinging in my ankle because it doesn't show that the nerve damage is above the ankle, it's just ankle to feet. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, but hopefully, but I do have lower back issues, so we'll see what it shows when they get that done. The x-rays show that they've been done, and I have not gotten the report yet. It says that the report's on there, but I'm going to my regular doctor tomorrow, so I'm hoping that he'll be able to shed some light on it because the report's not showing up on my digital file. So numbness in my feet has gotten really bad in a short amount of time, and all of this has been since the Synthroid. But what I did notice was that at the same time as the numbness started in my feet, I have these spots on my elbows. I don't think I can get this up high enough, but they're right here, and they're kind of fatty, and they're kind of rashy, like, oh my gosh, this is where my brain is. Dermatitis. What is it Anyway, rashes on the skin. I'm sorry, this is how my brain is. I told my doctor, I was talking to the podiatrist who I used to work with at the hospital, and I said, this is how my brain. He goes, have you had labs recently? I'm like, I think I have. I think a week or two ago, like, but I can't remember what they were for. It was the endocrinologist, and he was checking my cortisol and my metabolism. I couldn't remember. And I told him, I said, would you want me as your nurse? I cannot work as a nurse with my brain like this. I have to figure out what's going on before I work as a nurse, because this isn't right. Anyway, I have some rashes and some fatty pads right here on my elbow. And then about a week or two later, the fatty pads showed up just under my kneecap, where I had the fatty pads and kind of a rash. And I was like, this is weird. What is going on? And then that's when the like numbness started happening and everything. And so when I looked up fatty pads under knees, it's menopause, hormone, could be caused by hormones, menopause. Well, that's come and gone. But the synthroid threw me into some kind of crisis, and then all of a sudden I had those fatty pads, and now I'm having numbness in my feet. So I think that there's some kind of fat blockage in my knee area that is constricting the blood to and the nerve flow into my feet. So I really think that all of this showed up when I took the synthroid. So I think I've got some kind of metabolic syndrome. I know there is something called metabolic syndrome, but I do think that it's some kind of endocrinology type situation, and my endocrinologist doesn't know what to do. So I think I'm going to go see a third endocrinologist and hope somebody can figure out what's going on. So, but I have to share. So, and then I have like a lump. I don't know if you can see it right there. And a lot of people have mentioned it over the years when I've been making videos, but you can see it kind of goes in here, and then there's a bump right here. I have friends who lived in the same neighborhood. Her husband has neuropathy in his feet. She had a cyst exactly in this area and had it removed, and has some of the other symptoms. And so I almost wonder if part of this syndrome or whatever is the parasite, and it's causing calcification in certain, and that's what Strongyloides parasite does. It can calcify the thyroid area, and this parasite has the same life cycle. So I think it's calcifying and causing blockages in the body in certain areas. So I almost wonder if that syndrome is part of, but is because they do affect the thyroid. If it's causing further damage the longer I have it, maybe they had it a little longer than I've had it, and now I'm having the same symptoms that are coming up, you know, that they've had for a while. I just thought that was really interesting. So then I was talking to another neighbor. She lives just, if I could see through the house across from me, she lives on that next street. So she's like 5 houses away. And she said her arms go numb when she eats sugar. And so I was thinking about that. I have been taking B12 sublingual and water soluble D because I wasn't assimilating the fats, because I got fatty liver and I can't assimilate any of the fatty vitamins. And I was realizing when you eat sugar, you need your B vitamins to assimilate it. And alcoholics are very B deficient most of the time because alcohol is a sugar, and you need that B vitamins to digest and break down the alcohol sugars. So when you eat sugar, you have a B vitamin deficit. And so I'm wondering if, so I started researching the B vitamins and vitamin deficiencies causing numbness, and vitamin E deficiency. And I haven't been taking an E sublingual I haven't been taking the water soluble vitamin E for a while. And so I'm wondering if I've got some kind of a vitamin E deficiency, because I'm taking the other ones. And I used to be really good at taking a B complex, and I haven't been good at that. So I'm wondering if the B complex, the B vitamins, when I eat sugar, excuse me, because it got worse over Christmas, is causing a B deficiency and the E deficiency in my system, and that's what's causing the numbness, partially causing the numbness in my arms, and because I can't find any reason my arms are numb. So I'm just documenting this because I do think that the parasites do eat the vitamins, and so I think there's a deficiency going on because of that. And so I just wanted to share that other people in the neighborhood are having the exact same symptoms that I'm having. And then radon. So I took some radon tests. I knew that I had high radon. I've been trying to figure out a way. I was blowing out the house. I'd open the back door and blow out the house every day, turn off the furnace, blow out the house, and then turn the heat back on after a few hours, and then start all over again the next day. And I had a niece who got her house mitigated, and I had a guy come and talk about putting a vent in, or I don't have any outside air that comes in. And I remember I talked about this on the video that I'll post later that was made a couple months ago. But so I was like, that the blowing out the house every day was kind of helping keep the levels. I could feel better a little bit. And I've had some stray cat issues. They're not strays. The people own them, but they don't have collars. They don't spay them. They don't have them in their house. They don't have a place for them to sleep, but they're their cats. And their cats keep coming into my house, into the neighbors' houses, into my garage. I wake up every single day almost with cats fighting under my bedroom window because it's kind of got a bush and it's protected, and so they fight to be there next to the warm brick. And I would keep waking up in the early morning hours with these cat fights right in beside my bedroom window, and it's terrifying to wake up to this regularly. So I had the door open with the fan on Thanksgiving because it was warm in the house, and that cat jumped over the fan. This one particular cat, I posted it on Facebook and said, somebody come get this cat, and the owner came and yelled at me for posting her cat. But there's no collar, there's no she doesn't have him inside her house. She leaves the garage open a little bit so they can go and eat the food, but other cats are going to eat the food, so the cat's going around to the neighbors and just going into their garage. I can't get it out. I'm chasing it. Thanksgiving Day, we are all here. The fan is in the door. It jumps over the fan, comes into the house because it can smell the turkey, and we are chasing this stupid cat all over the house to try and get it out. So I can't open the door anymore to let the fan out because the stupid cat keeps coming in. So I was trying to figure out a way to get rid of the radon until I can get somebody to come mitigate it, because I had that guy locally. I was waiting for him almost a year. And then he came and said, I don't even know what to tell you because your house is built funny and I don't know what to do. And I don't know that it will even work, because when I talked to the National Radon Hotline, they said my house was too airtight. And if they put a mitigation system in without putting in some circulatory fans, that it would cause more radon to be sucked in. So my niece sent me this long-term, this permanent, like it tells you all the time exactly what your levels are. So when I was putting it in first, it was at over 5. When I had it tested, it was over 5, near 6. And when I first got this, that's where it was when I had it in different rooms and whatever. It's lower today. So there's a level that's a long-term 7-day level, a long-term average, and then the daily average. So my daily average, it's been upstairs, and I've done this other kind of a thing. So you'll see that the daily average is less than 1, which has never been, but that's because it's as far away from the furnace in the basement as it could be over the last 48 hours. The long-term average started at near 6, which it's been for most of the time I've lived here, I'm sure. And then I have been moving it around, trying to see what rooms have the most radon. And I came up with an idea. God is good. He inspired me. So I took some pictures of what I've done. while I'm trying to get, I live in a small town, and so to get a mitigation company down here, especially during the holidays, was not going to happen. And we have had storm on top of storm on top of storm, so it's been really bad weather to have somebody try and drive to my small town, because I don't live near any large cities. It's like 2 or 3 hours any direction, and even some directions they're not really big cities. So oh, I'm looking up the wrong thing. Let's see. So I thought, I have a wood burning stove in the basement, and I have a wood burning stove in the upstairs, because I can't open the doors or windows with my windows don't move up and down very easily. They're super heavy because they're triple pane. So I didn't really have an option to use the windows and make it feasible to open and close them every day. And I don't have the money to replace them, and plus they're triple pane, and so they're really airtight, but they're just super heavy, and they kind of, the springs break, and then I can't open them and close them very well. So I was praying for what to do, and this is what I came up with. So I put really thick foil from the top of those big buffet things in to remove the doors of the wood burning stove, put a heater in it, and then have the heater pulling air in from the chimney into the basement. And then the furnace, because the problem is the furnace is right where all the radon is, right ground level, and then it pushes it all throughout the house. And so in the wintertime, when the house is airtight, it's bringing all that radon, and then I'm just getting it all night when I sleep and during the day when I'm at home. So then I took the upstairs wood burning stove, and I have an opening there, and I did have a fan in there that was blowing out from the house up the chimney, but I just found that it tripled my electric bill to do that. And so I just opened that area and just let the air, and you can feel it's, when the furnace goes on, it's just blowing out. So my furnace is running more frequently, and I have that heater downstairs running 24/7, and so my electric bill has just tripled. And so I need to get the mitigation system in, but that has taken from a 6 on the long-term average down to 3.32. But that's actually a little lower than it would be because it's been upstairs for a little while and the levels are lower. In the basement, you can see from that it's at 2.5, and that's a little lower than it normally is. So even though it's lowering the levels, it's still pretty high down there. So I need to get a mitigation system and a air circulatory vent system that brings in cold air, warms it up a little bit, and then circulates it through the house. But because my house is a little weird, I have to get somebody who knows what they're doing to do it. The people in town that finally got over here said that they aren't comfortable doing it. So I've got that going on with the radon. So something that goes along with that, about 3 months ago, I was praying about my health, what to do, and I was prompted that I needed to either eat 5 apples a day or start taking apopectin. And I had gotten some apopectin from somebody in town that was just getting rid of it because they had used it for something, and then they had a bag of it in their freezer, and they were cleaning out their freezer and said, does anybody want this? I got it, gave most of it to my daughter, who lives quite far away from me, 4 or 5 hours away from me, when I went to visit, because she makes jam. I don't eat jam because I'm gluten-free, so I just don't even eat bread, and there's no point of having jam if you're not eating anything like that. So I did keep some, but then I couldn't remember where I put it. And I knew it was supposed to be in the freezer, and I checked the freezer, it wasn't there. So I called her and I said, before Thanksgiving, I said, hey, when you come down for Thanksgiving, could you please bring some of your apopectin? Because I eat usually 1 meal a day, and I'm not going to eat 5 apples a day. That's just not going to happen. I did buy a bunch and try and eating more, but I just really don't eat that much. I'm not hungry. In fact, I can't tell you how many times I put a meal in the microwave, turn it on, walk away, get doing something, and then several hours later, I'm like, oh yeah, I never ate, because my thyroid's so slow. I'm not hungry most of the time. So I didn't have time to do much with the apopectin before the holidays, and so I started taking it right the beginning of January. But I also was taking some other things, so I wasn't sure if it's helping or not helping. But I thought it was interesting when I was talking to my daughter. They came to visit this last weekend for overnight on their way to a conference, and so they just were here for overnight. And I said, hey, thanks for bringing that apple pectin down. I've been taking it. And she goes, and I said, it's got so many benefits. And she said, yeah, I know it helps with radiation poisoning. And I said, what? And she goes, when Chernobyl happened, there was one town that was not affected as much by the radiation as some of the other towns, and they wondered why, and they studied it and found out that they eat more apples, and that it was the pectin in the apple that detoxified them from the radiation poisoning. And I started laughing. I'm like, here, God told me to take apple pectin. I didn't know why, but I have radon. And I'm sure I'm toxic on the radon after 30 years in this house. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. So I've been taking apple pectin, and I remembered I found where I at. So I've got apple pectin I've been taking morning and night. I've read tons of studies on taking apple pectin for weight loss and lots of other things. So I'm taking that. So I haven't seen any negative benefits of it. It helps with blood sugars, which is great because I told you I was having problems with that. And anyway, so I've been taking that. But I was also so I had my appointment with the endocrinologist. He ran some labs, and he said that he thought, because I still feel crappy and I'm tired all the time and I have brain fog, clearly, as you can attest, that he wanted to try me on metformin. So, but I have all these other things I'm trying at the same time, so I can tell you which one is working, right? So I take the metformin, and I'm feeling pretty good because I'm started the apple pectin. I have sleep apnea machine, which is I'm going to talk about in a minute. So I'm trying the sleep apnea machine. I'm trying to eat several small meals a day rather than just one meal at night, because that's when I am hungry. I don't want to eat. So I was getting up early. I was eating a meal, I was taking the apple pectin, taking the metformin in the morning, and I was feeling pretty good for about a week. And then I got a raging yeast infection. And it's so frustrating because I take probiotics. I'm on 4 or 5 probiotics, prebiotics every day. And I drink kombucha. I mean, like literally I have kombucha all the time that I make my own, and I drink it every day. And my stomach is a mess. And I was like, what is going on? Well, when I had this infection on that tooth, I had 10 days of antibiotics. And I normally just use natural antibiotics, but because the infection was so close to my sinuses, and I do know some people who have had strokes because of bacteria with dental situations, I took the antibiotics and the natural antibiotics. But in taking the antibiotics, I got a raging yeast infection, and it killed off all that healthy normal flora that I had been spending all these years trying to grow back. So I get a yeast infection. I've been taking all these things. I'm clearing it up, and it's been a couple of months. I'm finally feeling a little bit better, and then they put me on the metformin, and the metformin creates a massive yeast infection again. And I'm like, oh, can I ever get better from this? I'm just so frustrated. So I stopped taking the metformin, even though I wasn't sure if it was helping or not. I did feel better for about a week. I was sleeping better. And, but I do have to say I had cut down on sugar quite a bit. Over the holidays, I just didn't diet. I didn't regular. I mean, I kept gluten-free, don't get me wrong. And, I still only ate mostly once a day, but when the kids were here and I was cooking more, I was eating more, but also I was eating more junk food, which it wasn't good. But by no means was that my main source of food, but just that much more sugar wasn't good. So no on the metformin, no on the Synthroid, no on the other thyroid medications they tried me on. So I took a sleep study, and I'm pretty sure I talked about that in the other video, which I'll upload. But they found that they had one at the house, and then that showed that I stopped breathing, and then they took one at the hospital, which was a nightmare, and I described that in the other video, I'm pretty sure. In the 45 minutes I did sleep that night, I stopped breathing 15 times. Now, in order to put the CPAP on you at the hospital, sleep study, you had to stop breathing 20 times in an hour, which I would have had I gotten some sleep. It was an awful situation. I've talked to several people who had similar situations. Bright lights, helipad, beeping, hospital noise, freezing, air conditioning stuck on, froze all night. It was terrible. So, but they did okay, a CPAP machine. So they give me a CPAP machine, but because I've tried them in the past, I always swallow air when they put these kind on, right? So I've tried several different ones. And I swallow air, and then I need to wake up burping because I've got so much air in my stomach. And then when I try and burp, the machine thinks I'm not breathing, and it's shoving air down my throat, and I'm trying to burp, and I wake up and I rip the thing off, and I can't wear it, no matter how many different ones I've tried. So I go get fitted for the CPAP machine, and they have these nose things, and I'm like, that'd be great. But then they're like, but if you swallow air, you have to wear these straps to keep your chin closed so that the air doesn't go right out your mouth. So they fit me with this thing, and I should show you the picture. I wake up in the morning, and my jaw is pushed back so tight that it's hurting these joints, and it's closing them so tight. These teeth are hurting because these are hitting them, because it's like, oh, that. And I did take some pictures, but I don't want to take the time to go looking for them. So literally, this snaps on the back, this snaps on the top, and I'm wearing it like this. And it is so tight. I wake up in the morning, and I have like puffy, the lines, and for 2 or 3 hours, I have these lines on my face. So our Christmas choir Sabbath program, I have these lines all over my face from that stupid thing. But then after a little while, it was hurting my jaw so bad I couldn't use it. So then I go back and I get the other one that they gave me, they tried on first. But this one's just so simple. It just has this little strap in the back and the top, and then it goes like this. So this is in the back, this is at the top, and this is holding the chin. But when I fall asleep, it's not enough. There's not enough force here because it's just like here, and then the strap back here. So then it's not holding my jaw closed enough. So I wake up, and there's the air that's going in my nose is just coming out of my mouth. And then my mouth is so dry, it's so painful, my tongue is cracked, and it's not working because it's clearly, it thinks I'm breathing, but I've actually stopped breathing, but the air is just going in and out my mouth, so it thinks it's not working. So that's not working. So I stopped wearing it because I'm on the metformin, and I also have this humid thing. I brought the first one I was wearing. Okay, so this is there's just these holes with this line, right? So it goes on like this, like this. And when I move, this is pulling up and down, and it's moving it, and then the air is going up here, down here. This part's collapsed in the middle. I can't breathe because the flaps because it's collapsed, the flaps are over covering my nose. The air is cold, so I keep waking up with cold air blowing on my face, so I would just whip it off. So I'm frustrated because I'm wearing this chin strap, it's hurting my jaw, it's cold, I can't seem to figure out the heater thing, it's not heating the fluid. Then the humidity, if you want it warmer, you have to turn the humidity up, and then the humidity, because the warmth creates more humidity. But then I've got water dripping, and where the straps were right here, I got yeast infections because of that metformin and the moisture and the warm wet, and this is kind of like a nylon, and so it's keeping, like, these parts are right here, and so I have yeast infections that are finally starting to clear up here because I stopped wearing them because I'm got yeast infections and I can't breathe and my jaw's hurting. So I call the place and they're like, well, we don't have any other chin straps. We don't have. And I said, well, can you do like a nose mount? Like, and he said, yeah, but you'd still have to keep your mouth closed. So I make one out of a t-shirt and Curlex, like stretchy ace bandage, but it's the kind that sticks to itself. So I cut a t-shirt because I needed it soft and not to create like stripes. Both of those ones would create these stripes, and they were giving me wrinkles and yeast infections and rashes. You can see, and I had like rashes. So then they give me this one last week. This one has these little things so that the flap doesn't collapse. So I put these on, but it's pinching. It's not quite big enough or whatever, but it's still so cold because I turned the humidity down because it was like running down my face and getting in the tubes. So I turned the humidity down, but then it's so cold. I wake up freezing cold and my nose is cold and I'm cold. And so I just rip it off. Plus this one, there's little teeny holes. And if you move, it moves them and then I can't breathe. And so I wake up not being able to breathe. I'm telling you, I don't know what to do, but the sleep apnea thing is driving me crazy. So last night, I'm like, okay, forget the chin strap. I'm going to go back to the teeth guard that I bought at Walmart for 50-something bucks that hurt my teeth. And then I tried to re-boil it and not bite so hard because it was keeping me from snoring. And I think it was helping with the apnea. So I put that on and the nose thing on. I kept this in for longer. I woke up freezing because I looked at more videos, trying to figure out how, if I could turn up the heat without having the more humidity so that the tubes are warm or something. Nothing. I think it's just the one that I have is not working. So I've got this in my mouth. I ripped that thing off. I kept this in my mouth for a little while longer, but then it hurts my jaw. And so I ripped that off. So I am tired, and I think that has a lot to do with my mind fog, but I also, getting to this next part, have another situation going on. So I hadn't colored my hair in, I don't know, a couple months because the gray is almost to the color of, it's getting more white than the gray, so it doesn't show up as much. So it's just, I'm looking like old lady gray, but my blonde color is a similar, so I just basically, you've got the salt pepper kind of look going on, but it's more salt than pepper at this point. So I'm like, just maybe I shouldn't color the hair anymore. Maybe I should just let it go gray. But a couple weeks ago, I started losing my eyesight very significantly. And I was not able to see things on my phone. I then started having double vision in my right eye and really blurry in my left eye. And I am like, okay, I know hormones can cause that problem, but I've also been having a lot of the parasite rashes and bites on my neck. There's like one right here currently. There's one over here currently. Because I haven't been peroxiding it every 3 weeks, the parasites have been more active in the brain. And I could feel sharp pains, particularly on the right side. And then about once a week, I have really, really intense pain on my scalp. Feels like my hair has been pulled tight in a ponytail for 3 days and then let go. And I know men probably wouldn't understand that, but women will. It's so tender, I can barely touch it. And I think what's going on is the eggs are hatching and then the parasites are in this area. Because it's about once a week and I have a lot of activity on this side and this side, but then I was putting iodine back here, so then they moved to this side. But the pain is just right here across the top. And if I even touch it, it's so painful. And and then I could feel it burrowing as it does. And I think that's what's causing the eye problems, especially in the right eye. So I'm seeing the double vision. And so I colored my hair, Saturday night, and left it on for a while because I was like, I've got to kill off whatever's going on in there. So I think it's just another symptom. And also my teeth, I can feel them when I put that on, they start burrowing in. And so they're burrowing in my teeth and burrowing my eyes when I was peroxiding in my head. So I know that they're in my head, and I'm sure that they're affecting my thought processes. And so it's really frustrating not knowing what to do to cure this. I want to tell you thank you. There's been quite a few people who have written me on my The Secret is Gratitude page on Facebook and asked if I was okay. And I thought that was very thoughtful, that they noticed I hadn't posted in months. And but also what's going on with the vision as well is the balance. So I've got the numbness in my heels, and then the blurriness in my eyes, and then we've talked about the vertigo when they're in the inner ear fluid. And so when I'm like, I was just standing at church, and a lady, I was talking to her, and all of a sudden I just kind of did this and caught myself. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I've got some issues with balance going on." I said, "I'm like a weeble wobble. I just can't feel my heels." And I was wearing heels, and so the vertigo from wearing the heels, and actually I was wearing boots. Never mind, I wasn't wearing heels. But also for a while now, I think I've talked about this a little bit, when I'm leading the music at church, I look down and then I look up and then I look down, and I'm leading the congregation in song, I black out a little bit, and then I start to lose my muscle function. And I thought at first maybe it was the vertigo from the parasites in the ear, which I still think that's part of the problem. But for many years now, if I would eat Wendy's Frosties, I would lose muscle tone. Like, I'd be holding the steering wheel, and then my arms would I'd lose muscle in my arms, and it was like all of a sudden my muscles just dropped. And I've talked about when I was reading my CEUs on Parkinson's and on MS, that I felt like both of them could be caused by, because they really have no idea what's causing them, but could be caused by the parasites burrowing up and down and causing scarring in the tissue in the brain and the spine. And so I think I told you there's a lot more activity. I can feel them moving up and down the spine. I can feel them in the brain. I feel like I'm having MS symptoms with the nerve just like dropping, and Parkinson's shakes a little bit, particularly on the right side, and then the muscle weakness when I'm like leading the music or driving particularly is when I notice it. And I think that maybe some of those, something in the non-dairy Wendy's thing may affect it a little bit. So I don't know what's in those, but it seemed to be that's when I first would notice it, but now it's more common. Like, I'll just be sitting there and all of a sudden I'll just kind of, my head will drop and my arms will just kind of drop. So I was going over for my lower back x-ray, because I had to have an x-ray before they'd okay the MRI. And I was talking to the receptionist at the hospital radiology department, and I mentioned the double vision in my right eye and my eye going blurry really quickly, and she goes, "Have you had a brain MRI?" And I said, "Well, no." And she goes, "My husband had those exact symptoms and had a brain MRI, and they found lesions on his brain." And I thought, well, there you go, the parasites in the brain, I can feel it. And if they do that, then I think they will find that there is some kind of stuff going on in my brain because of the parasites. And a lot of people are like, "Have you tried this and that?" And I'm so grateful that everybody's writing what they suggest, and new people that find the channel. But and I haven't updated my website in a long time. It's probably been a year and a half, 2 years since I put anything new on there. And so kind of what I feel like has been going on, I prayed a lot, and God let me know that I'm right where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So I don't feel like, why is this happening to me? I don't feel like victim about it. I feel like he's put me in a position where I can get all the medical tests currently to verify what's going on. I have the diagnosis. Nobody else has the diagnosis. If I can document, okay, this happened with this time, and this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and enough people get tested or come forward, or they can find a test for it that have all these same symptoms, and then they have the test and their results are the same as mine, then I feel like I'm doing a service by documenting all of these things. So a little bit, I was feeling a little bit guilty. I'm like, oh, I'm getting all these tests done. It's expensive. And do I really need all of these tests? But I've had a couple of conversations and situations happen that God has let me know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing. So people can be negative. People can be rude. Doctors can say, you're an enigma, we don't know what's wrong with you, and get frustrated because they don't know what else to do to help me. But at least it's getting documented. And if I have to go to 50 doctors to figure it out, then I go to 50 doctors to figure it out. So I do feel like I'm just documenting for all of the rest of you who have these symptoms and can't get a diagnosis. It would be so great if they could start studying it and find a diagnosis. It would be really great. So, I think that's everything. Let me just double check my last little thing here. Neck rashes, heel pain. I've been taking a lot more iodine, just through the skin. I go through cycles where I take it and I don't take it, and because I don't want to cause more problems. Sometimes you can take too much and it can cause more thyroid problems. But good news, when they did my last liver metabolic test on the liver, the enzymes that were really off, last time they tested them were less off, but I don't know why, because my eyes are still yellow and my liver still hurts. So go figure. I don't know, maybe. But I have been, this is something that would probably let you know why I've been feeling a little bit better. Somewhat is at least I'm trying to get more sleep, but I also tried 2 different sleeping pills that the doctor gave me. The first one did not work very well. The second one I tried when I tried them when my kids were here because I didn't feel comfortable trying them on my own, because I've known too many people who took the pill, forgot they took the pill, and then took more of the pill, and then they overdosed. And some of them died and some of them didn't die. So I am a little nervous to do too much with sleeping pills. But I have taken them when I've been having a difficulty sleeping, but I haven't taken any in the last 3 weeks, I think. But I see my doctor tomorrow, and I'm going to talk to him about that, because I really think if I could get a couple of good nights sleep, I could feel better and think clearly or something, but I don't know. My migraines have been, there's been lots and lots of storms, but Nurtec has been fabulous, godsend. It's sublingual, like I just put it in my tongue and it just dissolves. It doesn't get rid of the headache, and it doesn't keep the headache from being there. It just takes off that edge so that I'm not vomiting all day. So since I've taken Nurtec, there's been a couple where it was really, really bad, and the Nurtec just didn't quite take the edge off. So I take, the doctor gave me some suppositories, promethazine, but I haven't done the suppositories. I've been doing the oral melting ondansetron or promethazine. But I've only had to take that twice, I think, in the whole time. The Nurtec takes the edge off, and I can just function through the day with a headache. And so, but even like last week, I think I took 3 Nurtec, which is like a lot for a week for me. But it's just been really a lot of storms. So, but I just want you to know, if you have the headaches, Nurtec has been really a godsend. And if you still have nausea or it's a really bad one, you can get the pills that will melt in your mouth from the nausea medication too, so you don't have to take any liquid. The problem I had was if I would take the pills to try and take the headache away, the liquid I would take would hit my stomach, and then I'd just start vomiting. So the fact that both of those pills can just be melts in the mouth and in through the tongue, under the tongue, whatever, makes it so that I don't have that liquid and then I don't have the vomit cycle. I might still have pain, but I can also take, just other pain medication if I need to. But for the most part, if I get it early, I just take a Nurtec and then I'm fine for the rest of, I can deal with the headache for the rest of the time. So I just wanted to upgrade you on that. And so if you have headaches, see a neurologist. They can get you through all of the medications that you would need to. I think I talked about that on the last update, and you'll hear about my allergic reaction and whatever to some of the stuff they gave me to try. Okay, I think that is everything. And I know it's a lot, but it's just an update about what's going on. I do have the MRI coming up. I do have, I'm still getting the physical therapy and the needling done, which helps a little bit with the numbness in my arms. I have not been taking anything new for the parasites. I've been taking the iodine. I rub the iodine on the areas where the rashes are and put diatomaceous earth on top of that sometimes. And I'm still using that, what's the name of it? It's an antifungal cream from the dollar store. For my dry skin and stuff. It's still pretty dry. I don't know if you can see it, but my grandkids are like, your hands are so rough. I'm like, I know, sorry. So I don't know that I'll be blogging anytime soon. I don't like the format. I've had a problem. Blogger was bought out by Google and they don't help you. It's a terrible, I can't even reply to the comments on there. So don't write a comment on my blog if you want an answer, because I can't reply. So your best bet is The Secret is Gratitude Facebook group or The Secret is Gratitude blog at gmail.com. I don't check that one very often. I haven't checked in months because of the holidays or whatever, but I do check it every 3 or 4 months. But the Facebook one I do reply to more often, and then comments on my YouTube, I try and keep up on those. The Wix account, the horsehairandhumans.com, horsehairandhumans.com website, I cannot reply. You have to purchase more space to reply. So people have been commenting on there and I have not been able to comment back. So don't write your comments on my website or my blog just because, and I'm paying out of pocket for all of this. I've had over the years some people suggest that I do a GoFundMe, but I don't know what the regulations are on that, what you have to use it on and how to prove what you're using it on. Like, I pay for the website out of pocket. I pay for the .coms out of pocket. Researching all of this medication. I haven't had insurance until just recently, so most all of the things that I've been doing have been out of pocket. So I don't know if I should try setting up a GoFundMe. If we could raise enough, then maybe we could pay somebody to study it. I don't know, because most of the universities that I contact, they're like, well, there's no money in it, so we're not going to study it. They need proof enough to get grant money. They need enough to get started or something. So, and I get that, follow the money, right? But anyway, so I just wanted to give you an update, let you know what's going on. I do have a bunch of bags of jewelry. I got 8 in one sitting. Somebody donated an entire tote of jewelry to the thrift store, and I got lots of gold and silver. It was fabulous. So I actually have been able to get 3 bags in the last 2 months since that one, and I never posted any of those. I made videos of them and I never posted them. So I'm gonna probably be posting, hopefully. I just haven't had the energy to deal with it because it takes me an hour or 2 to do it, and I've been focusing on family. My grandkids left yesterday or Saturday again, so I've had lots of company, but it's been great. I've loved having them, and I wish I could see them every day. But anyway, so things are good to an extent. I feel very blessed. I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. God has been very good at letting me know where I'm at and helping me get these tests done. And I feel like it's for a reason. I'm documenting, and at some point they'll research it and at least have this database of documentation, all the tests that I've had taken and done, and hopefully be able to see what it affects and how it affects the body. So I will probably be getting a MRI of my brain. I'm going to talk to my doctor tomorrow about that and see if there's any Parkinson's or MS lesions or anything that show up. I need to figure out what's going on with the double vision and my eyesight, because that's very important to me. And anyway, hopefully it will be over soon. Hopefully they'll be able to figure it out soon. But I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. And I feel like I've abandoned some of you, and I'm really sorry about that, but I can't reply if you write on my blog or my website. So write a comment on the videos, and if you reply to somebody else's comment, I don't get notification of it. So if you want me to see your comment, you have to make your own comment. So go up to the top of the video and just put comment. Don't go on to read somebody else's and then comment on theirs, because they'll get the notification and I won't know that you've written a comment. So, or go on to the Facebook group. Oh, lastly, I had somebody, I think it's somebody that was maybe one of my stalkers, create a Facebook group with my website name. So he created a Facebook group called Horsehair and Humans, and then put my videos on there to make it look like I was okay and part of the group. And so a lot of people have joined that group, and then he tries to get me to comment and reply and join the group. And I asked him to please change his name of the group to not be the same name as the website. Now, I don't have a problem somebody starting a group to talk about this parasite, but don't link it to me, because this is my reasoning. If some of you think that's unfair of me, I'm explaining why I don't want to be related to this, because there are some conspiracy theorists that make wild claims, and I want medical science to study this. And if I have a lot of seemingly crazy people writing non-verified conspiracy type things, and I'm associated with that, they won't look at the science of it. They'll just say they're all crazy. I've tried very, very hard to pay for the website Horsehair and Humans, so that when medical communities maybe get a diagnosis of somebody that has horsehair, they have something to look at and say, okay, these are the tests that she had run. These are the problems she's having. These are the symptoms. Maybe we could run some of those tests and see if you're affected in the same way. However, if they go to horsehairandhumans.com, or they come up with the Horsehair and Humans on Facebook, and they see all the conspiracy, oh, it's all the doctors, they're getting together and conspiring. Any medical professional is going to look at that and go, I don't want to be touched that with a 9-foot pole. Like, I don't want to be involved with people who think it's the doctors are in a conspiracy, to medical communities in a conspiracy to not help, figure this out. So I asked him to change it, and he was very flippant and rude, and I didn't think I was being unfair. I explained my reasoning why I didn't want that same name as my website, because when they search it, Horsehair and Humans, I want them to be able to go to the website and have it be clinically scientific in its format and its presentation, not a website group on Facebook that's got all sorts of stuff on it, and I don't want to be linked to that. He's got videos of me on YouTube linked to his to his Facebook group, and I don't want to be linked to it because it's not scientific. It's not in the format that I would like the medical community to look at and say, okay, they have a point. This could be a problem. So I would ask you to not support that group, but to go to this. I did create a group, but the problem is I can't create the group as myself without having some of these stalkers be able to find my grandkids. I've had really nasty comments on my blog about what they would do to my grandkids. It's really personal for me to put this out there, but I'm asking you to please help me keep my grandkids safe. So I can't let people know who I am and where I reside and what my, personal information, because I have a family that I need to keep safe. So I have these other people who are trying to make it look like it's crazy people. They're trying to unvalidate what I have spent years trying to get validated as far as the horsehair in humans, and get science to look at it. So if I support these people who are undermining that, then I look like I'm part of the conspiracy and I'm crazy. So no offense to anybody who's on that group or is comfortable in that group or wants to be part of that group. I'm all for a group that gets together and discusses what has worked for them and has not worked for them, but I'm not okay with him stealing the name that is trying to give legitimacy to this parasite and get science to look at it. And I asked him very kindly to remove it, and he was very vulgar, and he's used unkind language. Wrote me all night long, many nights, and it's usually on holidays. So I have a feeling it's somebody who's a stalker from my past that's just trying to infiltrate into my life. And so I just am not validating that. I hope that you won't validate that. If any one of you wants to create a different group and not use that name, I'm more power to you. I would love that there's a place that you can go and talk about it. I've tried to create that with the Secret is Gratitude Facebook group so that it's a positive place and not a parasite place. I don't mind that you go on there and you talk back and forth and talk about the parasite and what works for you, but I don't want all this conspiracy stuff linked to what I'm trying to legitimize for the scientific community. So hopefully I get that across to you. That's a long description of it, but I am not associated in any way, shape, or form with Horsehair and Humans on Facebook group that has my videos linked. And I really do think it's somebody that's not doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it for other reasons. So please try and support people who are doing it in the right way. And I appreciate all of you so much, and I hope you had a happy holiday. I know it's really hard to enjoy holidays when you don't feel well, and people may not understand why you're not feeling well, but we're doing our best, and I'm doing my best. So hopefully don't judge me if I hope I haven't offended anybody by what I've said. I'm just trying to get through it and get it documented, so maybe other people won't have to go through the same process to get diagnosed and maybe get some help. So I'm still looking for a cure, but I haven't had much luck working on it recently, just trying to take care of my family. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thumbs up if you can, so I can get my videos seen by a few more people, and I hope you have a blessed day.